I'm Jean Marie Herron, Certified Professional Organizer. Welcome to POSSE, productivity and organizing solutions serving everyone in your home office, or virtual. If you want to see my organizing and productivity classes and videos, make sure to hit the subscribe button. All right, hello everybody. I see lots of squares over in the right. Welcome to a very special monthly edition of POSSE's Pen. This is an hour special presentation because I have two awesome colleagues joining me today. And we are going to be presenting Does Your Home Office Drive You Crazy? How to learn to make it beautiful, organized, and secure. So we are recording and a couple of housekeeping, and then I'm going to tell you who you're listening to and who you're going to be seeing off in the corner. Please stay on mute, and if you have any burning questions, you can put them in the chat box, but what'll happen is later on when we come out of our slide presentation, you can ask your Q's and we'll give you your A's. So we three here on the screen are your hosts. For those of you who don't know me, I am the one on the far right, pre-COVID professional pictures. My name is Jean Marie Herron, and I am a certified professional organizer. I own and manage a company called POSSE Partners, and what we've been doing since 2005 is really helping people. We aim to take the stress and anxiety out of both working and living in a cluttered and non-functional space and spaces, and we replace the disorganization with systems and solutions for the individual to make them peaceful, more productive, and hopefully improve the quality of their lives. So the name of my company is POSSE, which is an acronym for Productivity and Organizing Solutions Serving Everyone. And that is a little bit about me. And now I'm going to ask Felicia and Karen to say something about themselves. So take the floor, Felicia.
Okay, thanks, Jean Marie. So hi, everybody. I'm Felicia Halpert, and I'm from Bergen IT. And I just first of all want to thank Jean Marie for hosting our presentation today. And it's a great opportunity to meet all of you. So Bergen IT is a small family-owned tech support and services company, and we focus on helping small businesses, micro businesses, professionals, and residential clients. And we help with all things related to computer support and services, cybersecurity, and then we also do things like sound system and TV installations. We do smart home resources, so could be Ring doorbells, for example. And we also focus on improving the Wi-Fi that's in people's homes. And I'll just stop there.
Hi, thanks, Felicia. And so very happy to be with these two talented professionals, Jean Marie and Felicia again. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Thanks so much for spending the time with us this lunch hour. I'm Karen Olson-Kuhler from Himbrick Olson Design. We're located in Ridgewood, New Jersey, and I, along with my partner, Stephen Hembrick, who's a registered architect, have a studio where we offer a full array of architectural, interior, and planning services for a broad variety of commercial and residential clients. We are creative, approachable, and passionate about making the most of your space. Today, I will share an interior designer's take on a variety of home office solutions that will hopefully maybe apply to you, and how we can optimize them to the way they function, but also be an inviting space that you will look forward to spending the day in.
Great. All right. Thank you, ladies. So as we are maybe coming out of post-pandemic, we resurrected this presentation, which, does your home office drive you crazy? And the question we want to ask everybody today is, working from home still a challenge? So we're finding that many people are still maybe having some difficulties focusing, staying organizing, making sure their technology is up to date and safe. And of course, we want you to be able to go into a space in your home that you love so that you really love working from home. So times are really changing, and we're hoping to help you out on any challenges you might be having. We're going to talk today about 6 different types of home office concepts, and we're going to attack it from an interior design, an organizational, and a technology perspective. So we're going to go into each one of these designs a little bit more in detail in just a second. But first of all, I want to ask you folks out there if maybe this type of home office looks familiar to you. And there's absolutely no judgment here. This is a real office. I walk into these kinds of offices all the time. So these are my real client pictures. And I would imagine that the homeowner here probably doesn't feel organized, productive. I'm guessing that his or her technology is not up to speed, maybe not secure, maybe there's no backups. And I would also imagine that the feeling this person gets when they walk into this office is not one that is aesthetically pleasing to them. So we'll talk about some of these kinds of things. And I wanted to go into depth on a particular client I had this winter because, you know, sometimes it's the real stories that we remember. And this particular woman had a shared private office in a brick and mortar building, and she shared it with her husband and business partner of over 30 years. And then he unexpectedly passed away, non-COVID related, and she was left to determine her professional goals. And so she had 3 professional goals that I'd like to tell you about because it involves her space and her time and her technology. So her first goal was she wanted to leave the shared private room and go to a cubicle in the main part of the physical building. And she wanted to use it as a satellite office. So she wanted to get out of the room on the left, and she wanted to have a cubby in the room on the right. She also wanted to go paperless, and she wanted to be, you know, completely mobile. That was her second goal. And then her third goal was to create a home office that she loved a couple miles away in her house and get it to the point where, you know, it was very technology driven. It was paperless, and she could, you know, be as efficient as possible. So those were her 3 goals. And I wanted to tell you about that because it's really important as we go through this presentation that when you're creating your own home office, or if the home office you've already created is still a challenge to you, it's really important that you know what you want and you know what your goals are for that particular home office. And I can never show as a professional organizer a before picture and an after picture without talking about 2 key ingredients. And those 2 key ingredients would be time and decision making. So if anybody ever wants a before and after picture in their own home, we have to set aside the time to do the work, and we have to make decisions in order to get it done. So I like to say that I have 5 non-negotiables of a productive home office. The first one I call build to suit. You have to design your home office in a space that you're going to love. You know, I had a client once who decided she wanted her home office to be part of her bedroom, and she spent a lot of money on custom cabinetry and a built-in desk and all kinds of storage, and found that after it was done, she would wake up in the morning and she would grab all her work off the desk and take it down to the kitchen. And the reason she would take it down to the kitchen is because she wanted to be in the hub of the home. She wanted the natural light, and she wanted to be able to look out the windows into nature. So really think about what it is you want out of your home office, what kind of a person you are, what kind of personality you have. Do you want quiet? Do you mind noise? What kind of lighting do you need? Really, really think about it. Maybe even do a brain dump, almost like a little vision board on a piece of paper. The second thing that is a non-negotiable would be your time management tools. So as you're setting up your home office, you want to think, you know, key components to your time management. Definitely a planner. Those of you, you don't have to raise your hand, but if you're not using a planner and you know me, you need to be using a planner, because planners give us an opportunity to design our day, to plan our day. Because if we don't plan our day, somebody else is going to usurp our time. So there would be your planner, there would be your calendar. You might have other time management tools such as vision boards, goal sheets. You might want to put up a month at a glance, a year at a glance. Again, based on your profession, you're going to figure out your own time management tools, and they can be paper, they can be digital. You know, you can use a steno pad or you can use Todoist. Just be really honest with your easy tools. Thirdly is your technology tools. So as you're building to suit your home office, what are your technology tools? You know, are you using a computer? Are you using an iPad? I'm sure you have a mobile phone. Do you need a printer, a scanner, a ring light, camera equipment, a pencil sharpener, an ergonomic keyboard? Think about all these things. Your lighting, your electricity, a surge protector. So think about all the technology that you'll need to encompass at your fingertips when you build this home office. Fourth would be your finding tools. I have clients that I work with in home offices and they say, Jean Marie, where should I put this? And my question back is always, well, where will you look to find it? So in terms of finding systems, some people still use filing systems, which is great. So whether you want to use Evernote or you want a lateral filing cabinet, it doesn't matter what you use as long as it works well for you in terms of finding your information, because we can't work if we can't find our information. And then fifth and last would be urge to purge tools. In the physical state, really easy. Make sure right around your desk, you've got a garbage can, a shredder, a recycling can. When it comes to the digital world, for example, your urge to purge tools in email might be, delete, report as spam, block, unsubscribe. Always think about your elimination tools because our information comes in so fast. One of the things I like to tell my clients is plan every day a little wrap up at the end of your day, a wrap up at the end of your week, a wrap up at the end of your quarter and of your year. And that's an opportunity to clear your desk, clear your information. When it comes to the bigger time slots, like, the once a year, it's going through all those files, physical as well as digital, and just, eliminate, and only keep the essential and what you consider your non-keepers. So those are my 5 non-negotiables of a productive home office, which will now lead you to technology.
Thanks very much, Jean Marie. I appreciate it. So Jean Marie and I are very good. I'm using numbers here. So I have these 7 tech tools and security that every home office must have. But I will tell you that I'm going to add a 1A, although I'll do it first, because when Jean Marie mentioned the surge protector, it's not part of this list here, but I just want to emphasize how important this is from firsthand knowledge. We are a home-based business. So we're very familiar with working with people in the home office scenario. And just a couple of weeks ago, we had a very unanticipated event. A transformer on the street had a surge, and it sent too much electricity through several homes, six homes, in the middle of the night. And this was a little bit of a scary thing. It's nothing like having the fire department show up at 3 a.m. But in contrast to our next door neighbors who actually were in the process of selling their house, and they had just had electricians in to do a whole lot of wiring, and then still lost all of the electricity, all of the appliances and electrical in their basement. We had some loss, but what we did have was we had a lot of these surge protectors. And I like to say that this surge protector gave its life so that our family and Bergen IT could continue to exist. So I just really want to emphasize how important these are. If you need a lot of plugs, don't just get a multi-prong, but you really just spend a little bit more money on a surge protector, because you can't control what might happen on the outside world. So so then now let me go into my other top 7. The first one is your router. Now, a lot of people don't think very much about your router, and I don't blame you. But you should think about the router a little bit like it's the equivalent of the front door to your home, except it's the front door for the internet to come into your home. So, many of us have some provider. It's Verizon or Optimum in this area typically. And you might get a very basic router from them. But what you need to think about is that good enough? Where a lot of people, you would never even think about whether you'd keep your door unlocked. You would make sure before you left home that you lock the door, or at night you would lock the door. A lot of people leave their router completely unprotected. They leave the door open. You really need to make sure that you have put a custom password on that router, something that is not just straight out of the box, because either they will come without a password on there, or there's some very standard password that's been pre-programmed in. Number 2, the Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi is, again, once it gets to the router, the internet, it then flows out. from there, and your Wi-Fi is very important for any kind of productivity. And for a lot of us, pre-COVID, maybe one person was working part of the time at home, but now maybe multiple people are working from home and learning from home and playing from home. And in addition to any kind of, just computing work you might be doing, there might also be streaming going on. There might be Zoom meetings happening. There might be somebody playing video games, multiplayer video games. All of that and you all have multiple devices. You'd be amazed how many devices you all have in your houses. And all of that taxes the Wi-Fi. And though we'd like to blame our internet providers, usually it's about what's happening in the house. Sometimes it's the construction of the house. Sometimes it's how many Wi-Fi networks are surrounding your home. So you want to make sure that you're using good technology that improves your Wi-Fi and is also very secure. Number 3, antivirus and anti-malware. So often people think they have decent antivirus and anti-malware software on their computers, but that's not necessarily the case. If you have free software, then often you get what you pay for. It's just not really that good. It might identify the fact that you've got a situation going on, but it's not very good at rooting it out. So you want to get a higher level professional grade antivirus, anti-malware, something that a company would be using. So number 4, 24/7 backup. So backup is one of these things. I know Jean Marie and Karen have heard me talk about it in networking meetings. This is one of those things where it's heartbreaking when we get a call from an individual or a business and something's happened, their computer crashed, the hard drive crashed, and now they've lost all their customer data for the past 6 months, or they've lost 30 years of photographs of their family. And unfortunately, at that point, it's much more difficult to get the data back. And sometimes it's not possible to get it back, even if you spend thousands of dollars. So backup is an inexpensive thing to do. What people often try to do is they think, well, I'm going to just do it myself. I'll get the sort of lowest level backup. And it's a manual process, but it's pretty easy. I'll do it. And then they maybe do it 1, 2, or 3 times, and then they forget, because life is busy and we have other things that are more important and pressing. And then 6 or 8 months go by and then you have a problem. So getting automated 24/7 continuous backup is really, really important and very cost effective. Number 5, continuous monitoring. So this is something also called managed services, where a company like ours or another IT provider is able to check on the health of the computers and make sure if there's anything untoward going on, if there's been some sort of hacking going on or there's a virus that's impacting. And why is this important? Because in a way, the computer is really not so much different from the human body in the sense that when we're sick, we don't necessarily know we're sick initially. The symptoms only come out after there's been a problem for a while. And that's true with the computers too, that you could be getting hacked and not realize it for a long time. And the monitoring will be able to identify an issue happening well before it becomes a serious problem. And that's not to say, just like with the human body, that you couldn't have a sudden heart attack with your computer. The hard drive could just suddenly fail, and that does happen. But for the most part, in many, many cases, things can be captured and eliminated and problems identified before they become serious. Okay, number 6, so passwords. I love the photo at the bottom here because this is the classic password, which is password. And if anybody on this call is using password, you are not alone. It's up there in the top 5 of passwords. Highly recommend that you change that. If you're using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that's another one you might want to try not using. Try to come up with a password that is easy for you to remember and is something that not everybody in the world will know. And then number 7, current software and operating systems. So I know many people try to hold on to their computers for as long as possible. Then often that means they're holding on to operating systems as long as possible. This is not a good plan. It's interesting how sometimes we hear from people after a decade of use of their computers. But the reason why you want to keep updating your software and operating systems, even though it's so annoying when you get that notification and you have to shut things down or close programs, is because hacking is a very real and serious threat. The cyber criminals are really good at what they do. There are whole countries and whole companies that are hiring people to do this. And on the other hand, and so you have to think of it as sort of the equivalent of the 21st century stagecoach robbery, just that it happens, to millions of computers at once. So on the other hand, there are a lot of people in these big companies, like Microsoft, for example, that this is their job to try to prevent these criminals from being successful. So they're working all the time on improving the software and the operating systems. And so they need to be able to do these upgrades sometimes to be able to keep you protected. So try not to hold on too long and ignore those updates because they are there to protect you. And with that, I will turn it over to Karen.
Oh, thanks so much, Felicia.
Yeah.
Lots of great tips, especially the good old password. And also the IT is, I don't know about the rest of you, but that's always a struggle to try to keep up with the times. So it's really great to have a professional like Felicia to kind of just keep us up to date. So right now, what I'd like to do is share with you some various places maybe in your home or that you can kind of create a home office and maybe optimally set up the furnishings and just kind of throw out some different ideas. Sometimes it's necessary to consolidate your family's workspace. Sometimes both partners are working and maybe even the children have to be within that space. Hopefully not. But if you do need to have a shared office, here's a couple of ideas or a couple of thoughts. The image on the right, it's really ideal to kind of have the you not facing each other, not being, basically facing in opposite directions of each other while you're working, if you're going to be there simultaneously. Obviously, it's better acoustically and for privacy, and that, if you can have the space to do that, that's obviously a great thing. The other option would be to use the same wall as you see in some of these other examples, where then you can kind of concentrate all the power and the electrical and the Wi-Fi situation, and basically kind of share all those elements against the one wall. But it's nice to be able to try to separate that with either the file cabinets or shelves or some sort of a kind of a space. Really what you're looking for is for everyone to kind of have their own zone. And that might just be defined by really where your chair is within around 4 or 5 feet. And then, like I said, try to kind of separate it. And you do want to, if it's in the same space, you want to try to keep it, the design elements, such as the furnishings, as streamlined as possible. Make the continuous desk surface, do continuous shelves, maybe have a similar office chair. But that doesn't mean to say that you shouldn't try to personalize the space as well for maybe just some accessories and make it more comfortable for you.
This is great. I love this concept. I think it works for lots and lots of folks. There might be just, 1 or 2 folks who would have a tough time from a focus or a distraction perspective based on their executive brain function, if you will. So I know Felicia's got a couple of ideas for that. So go ahead, Felicia.
Okay, yeah, thank you. So the shared home office is certainly the reality for many, many people. And music is one of the ways that you can really help yourself by keeping your focus and insulating yourself. So, but doing that by using headphones or earbuds so that you're not, interfering with the work of other people. it helps sort of cocoon you and let them do what they need to do. I'd recommend if you get the headphones that have the closed backs, that really can be helpful so that there's nothing coming out and seeping out for everybody else. And then I just really want to reemphasize the importance of security. That is kind of a mantra that people hear from me a lot. You know, security is really important. And this is one of those situations because when you are working from home, you're responsible for the data that you have. And you don't want somebody else either accidentally or on purpose getting into that data. So you want to make sure that other people don't have access. So you, after, for example, after a minute or two of inactivity, you should have that screen go into lockdown, you know, and if you want, there are things called privacy filters, and you can put that on the screen so that only somebody looking directly at the computer monitor screen would get access. Everybody else would not be able to see what's on there.
Great, thank you.
Excellent. Now, not all of us are lucky enough to have a whole room to dedicate to an office, whether it be shared or not. So often we need to kind of set it up as part of a room. Popular places are guest rooms, dining rooms, living rooms, sometimes basements, attic spaces. But if it is going to be part of the main part of the house or main part of a room, one of the, if it's part of like a family room or a living room per se, it's really try your best to try to have the furnishings that kind of work with your space. It wouldn't be good to kind of have an old banker's desk in the middle of a more modern kind of condo living room, open living room situation and such. You really only need about 2 foot of depth and maybe about 4 to 5 feet wide for your space to, you know, for a current desk space. Of course, it's great to have more, but you can pretty much do that. And it's usually best on a wall or near, obviously, for power situations, and also kind of, you know, creating your zone as we talk about. You could consider a drop down, as you see in one of the images to the lower right, which is great for basically just kind of closing up shop at the end of the day so that you're free to work. And then it basically just kind of close up, not only closing your laptop or your computer, but also just kind of closing off your business, which is a good idea to do, just to be able to separate so that you can then use the room as your dining room, as your living room, as your even the kitchen. We have one example there on the left side where just kind of finding a place within your kitchen to incorporate a desk and using some of the shelves for very neatly organized file folders and such. I'm sure Jean Marie could be involved in something like that. And so it's, you know, this is a very good solution when you just don't have the room, you know, a dedicated room to work from.
Great, Karen. I didn't know the 2 feet, 5 feet thing, but now that I know the dimensions, I will not forget that. So this is an awesome concept that I'm sure can work for many, many folks relative to their, you know, home office solutions. Some of these pictures really show a minimal look, and I know there's an awful lot of folks out there going for the whole minimalistic appearance at the moment, and a lot of folks also trying to go paperless as much as possible, so really showing it clean and tidy. But for those of us folks who still have a lot of stuff or a lot of supplies, you can always have like an office closet somewhere else, so you can still have this look, but then all your backup stuff can be tucked away someplace else.
And actually, by the way, that's true about some of the technology. You can have the part of that closet as a tech closet as well to, you know, put the router in and some of the other equipment. Again, just another reminder about security in an area like this, in this scenario. But I will say that one of the advantages to this is you can use your computer as sort of the hub of your entertainment space. So you can connect your TV to, you know, to this, or you can connect, so you can do streaming, or you can connect speakers, and so you could be listening to really great music in that shared space at the same time.
Great, thank you, Felicia.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And then if it's, like I say, it's great to try to do it along a wall, but even more optimal is a kind of what I call a corner office. And that's basically the space that's in the corner where the two desks, you know, the two work surfaces meet, it's actually kind of wasted space. So we often, both in the residential projects that we work on, but also the commercial projects that we work on, we often put the monitors in the corner of the space, set the monitor and the keyboards so that you have space left and right. It's wonderful if you can have a window nearby, in any case, in any really home office, so that you can take a break visually from looking at the monitor all day and just looking out the window, of course, and it also can kind of define the space. The space with the gray carpet that you see in the upper right, that's actually my partner, Stephen Hemprecht's space in our studio in Ridgewood. And we've now been in probably 3 different locations over the past 21 years. And one of our kind of go-to solutions is a very simple top, and these happen to come from IKEA, white tops, basically that are either cleated to the walls or supported by file drawers, black metal drawer cabinets. And it's great, it's flexible, and it's worked with us, as we've moved from space to space without getting into an expensive office file, an office system that you might see in the commercial spaces.
Great, good concept.
And then another, again, taking part of a room rather than have a whole dedicated room, is a home office within a closet. And there's a couple of reasons why this can work really well. Because again, maybe it's a closet that's within your guest room right now, or it's in off of a foyer. But basically most of the time the back wall is already blocked. It already has blocking in it to support shelves, standards and shelves, and the desktop. And it's usually 2 foot deep. Closets are always 2 feet deep at least. And it provides a back wall that you can use for storage and organizing and pin up space. And again, kind of focuses you towards your screen and not to the outer room, what everything else might be going on. And one of the best things is you can shut the doors at the end of the day and kind of walk away. You will have to consider having an outlet either nearby or within the closet. A lot of times closets will have some lighting, a closet light that you can kind of work off of. And also the doors themselves, if they're not bifold or something, they can provide great vertical spaces. You can see on the lower right image that has kind of the accessories and pinup, and again, be able to kind of shut it and be done.
Excellent. Another great solution. I know this particular concept I use a lot with my downsizing couples. So if I'm taking, a husband and a wife from a 4 or 5 bedroom home that they've been in for 30 years and they're going to a 2-bedroom condo, a lot of times this concept works really well.
Yeah, I'll just add that during my younger kids never particularly wanted to use a closet. I couldn't really understand why, but they didn't. And then during COVID, when one of them came back, this is exactly where we put the desk space for him. And so it's worked out very well. And just the reminder about the electrical.
And here we're just showing some different images of some possibilities of making your office space yours. Our homes have to work so hard now to be, recreation centers, not only homes, but recreation centers, daycare centers, gyms, social spaces finally that we can gather in. And so if there's a way that you can kind of personalize your space that you can look forward to spending, 4, 6, 8 hours a day, just to make it kind of more yours. So a few things, very simple things like the peel and stick wallpaper that could be in some finish that you like. Corkboard is a very inexpensive way. All of these things could almost be accomplished like as a weekend project where you basically just kind of apply those things to the wall, set up your desktop over your file cabinets and such. But also to make it yours, add plants, add travel mementos. If you're taking a corner of the family room, maybe you already have some existing paneling like the image on the left. You might have some existing built-ins that you now kind of repurpose to be a desk space. Maybe you wrap the back panel with a favorite fabric and just kind of, you want to feel great about the space and you want to make it feel not commercial and personal to you.
Great. I just wanted to mention to everybody in these photos to really take a look at the incredible use of vertical space, because in the organizing world, you want to use as much vertical space as possible. Maybe you do in the design world too, Karen. But between the floating shelves and the solid shelves, it takes all your storage way up. Even the corkboard, you have that entire length to play with. The credenza down on the bottom picture, there's just a really tremendous amount of storage available if we use the vertical space. So I just wanted to mention that.
And I just wanted to add that to make your office feel more homey and comfortable, think really hard about music and how that can make you feel a lot better. There's wonderful audio technology that's available now that's that's quite affordable. And it can really help you feel more comfortable and help you concentrate better during a challenging time. Some people, they like to have TVs on in their space for the same reason. I'm not one of those people, but there are a lot of people who want to have TVs on to keep the news available or just as background. But all of those kinds of tools can really help. And then you can even just on your computer screen have a screensaver that's images from, let's say, vacations that you've taken over the years, or pictures of your children or your grandchildren, things that make you happy. So when you're not working, you can just look at all that, and it can make a real difference in your life.
Excellent. Yes, definitely. And then we have the home office on the go. I find myself kind of privy to that. That's actually a corner of my family room in Pennsylvania on the left-hand side, where I kind of feel like the bag lady. A lot of what I do as a designer is have not only drawings and things that are not necessarily digital, but materials and finishes and scale plans and such. So I have these bags that I use. I'm actually thinking about upgrading them to nicer leather bags that basically have our client, basically my client files. I can throw my laptop in them. I have different ones for different projects and such. And so if you do have to truly be on the go, if I'm basically just going to be working in Pennsylvania on a Saturday or on a Monday, and then basically be able to easily take that and bring it in. But this also could be the case if you just don't have the room or the space, or you do have to multi-purpose. So maybe you do have to clear off the dining room table and work, but we encourage you to, if you do, clear off the entire surface rather than having leftover dishes and food or anything like that. Clear off the entire surface while you're working out there, and then also to have some sort of a caddy or a bags or whatever to be able to pack up at the end of the day so that you interrupt. Hopefully, you have that possibility. And the image on the right is actually one of a kitchen where the desk I think is on casters, the chair is easily movable. There's a movable kind of a printer situation or a movable metal cabinet that easily, if on for a weekend, you can shove that cart underneath, shove the stool around, and then have basically just do the spread for a brunch, serving dishes and such. So you can kind of multi-purpose that way. And then, of course, now that the weather's getting nicer, we're all kind of aching to be outside. And so that's a definite possibility, too. Use your patio, use your deck, use your balcony as best you can. And again, the same idea of maybe having some sort of a storage system that kind of travels with you, that you can incorporate the key elements that you need.
I just want to pick up on Karen's idea of that travel bag or the bag lady. So whether it's, a professional backpack that has, padded sections for all your electronics, or a certain briefcase or a satchel or a project file box, whatever you use, fantastic. Just remember that that's basically your office on the go. And you always want to remember to maybe pack it the same way. And even write a checklist for that bag, so that you don't forget anything important that's constantly traveling with you. This way you don't forget something important like a charging cord.
So the interesting thing now with the home office on the go, even within your own home, there could be multiple home offices essentially, because you might need to move around depending upon what's going on in the house, or you might want to be outside depending upon how the weather is. So what's really critical is to go back to the need to have really good Wi-Fi. we're working with someone just this week where he works for a big company, but he's now in the future he's already doing it, and he's going to continue to work from home. And he's got several kids, 4 kids, and he needs to be able to make sure that the Wi-Fi is working, whether he's in his home office, he's somewhere else in the house, or he's outside. And so it's wonderful to have the opportunity to be able to do that, right? You couldn't do that 5 years ago. Now you can sit in your backyard and be able to continue to work. So that's one thing. You want to be able to have a good laptop, a good durable laptop that you're not going to feel tentative about using and being concerned that it's going to break when you close it. The bag that you carry that laptop in should be padded so that if for some reason it drops, or you just put it down hard on a hard surface, it doesn't cause any damage. When Karen talked about all the different places that she works, being able to get the same email looking the same on whatever device, whether it's your phone or your tablet or your laptop or your desktop, is very important. And you can do that. You can synchronize everything together so that the email that looks red on one platform looks red on another, or unread, depending. What I mentioned about is it'd be marvelous to just sit at that beautiful table there and have your breakfast and drink your coffee and answer some email, but you really want to be careful not to spill that coffee onto the keyboard. So there are even spill-proof covers that you can get if that is something that you are concerned about. You can even get a portable printer if you want to be able to, you need to be able to print out documents while you're on the go. And then finally, if you're working outside, just make sure you have a good, not terribly old extension cord.
Good point. Thank you.
Yep.
Yes. And then we'll just finish with this option, which of course is if you're fortunate enough to have a dedicated room for your own personal home office, which is terrific. This happens to be for a client of ours. He's an IT executive, and he had a lake house, his second home, but and it's mostly, of course, used for family gatherings and all of that, but he needed to have a dedicated office where he actually would go to during the week without his family to be able to work privately. It was windowless, so that's why we did the photo mural that's of nature. It kind of reflects the setting of the lake house, but it's also a great background for Zoom calls. And he does do a lot of virtual meetings and teleconferencing. He has a huge monitor that's across from this desk. We actually had to channel the floor to create all of the IT wires and work with professionals to kind of create this very professional home office within within a residence. And it worked out well, and he was very, very happy to not only be there by himself, but also he brings his team members, and they have some kind of like nice kind of offsite meetings with his team.
I'd like to be out there in those trees right now. All right, so those were our home office solutions and suggestions, and now it's time for you to very much take control. So we gave you some great interior design concepts, organizing and technology tips, but if anything's going to happen in your home, then you are the one that's going to make it happen. Remember, I talked about time and decision making. So that being said, we wanted to say, don't be afraid to hire professionals help you get the home office of your dreams. I was thinking about our closing slide, and I was trying to think about how POSSE helps people in their home offices. And it's so individualistic that I actually had to write it down. So, when it comes to hiring POSSE in your home office, I've been in homes where I've helped clients, declutter years of paper, information, and supplies, and anything else that doesn't belong in your home office. We're also very instrumental in helping you create all kinds of time management solutions that are key to getting your to-dos done. So really taking you from, this is on my plate and this is now off my plate. We're also very terrific at helping you set up systems and processes to get your work done faster and more efficiently. And I always like to say, lastly, Less clutter, more you. Okay, Felicia.
Okay, so Bergen IT, we're a little different than a lot of tech companies. We're not working with bigger businesses. We're really focused on small businesses and people working from home and families and their technology. Our goal is really to help people understand how the technology can benefit them and help them be more productive, be happier, and be safer. So, many people will go and try to get equipment and try to hook it up themselves, and that's fine. But they may or may not make the right choices. We really try to partner with our clients so that they're not sort of spinning their wheels. They will get really personal assistance and get the right equipment. So just even in the mesh Wi-Fi universe, which we've been recommending a lot to improve the technology, there are a lot of types out there. And we have gotten quite a few calls from people after they try to set it up and they do not succeed, because it's not just about the equipment, it's about the knowledge of how you set it up. So we're always happy to have conversations with people about the issues they might have, and then provide cost-effective solutions for that. So our tagline is tech support for the rest of us, meeting real people with real issues.
Excellent, excellent, Felicia, and very, very approachable, and they just make it happen, which is terrific.
Thanks.
Well, we at Hamburg Olson, as we say, we can plan and design specifically for you and your situation. We're used to working on both commercial and residential projects, so this is kind of an ideal niche for us because we can really kind of think about things, how we can make it functionally work for you from an office point of view, but still be comfortable within your home. We can optimize the space. Maybe we can look around and see a space that you might not have thought about, and even furnishings and accessories, and pull them together in a way. So it can really save you a lot of time and effort, and also you'll feel better and professional about it. And a very important development that many companies are supporting their employees as they set up their home offices. Remote work is not going to go away. And it's basically in your company's best interest, as well as your own, to get a professional, fully functioning and good-looking space to work from remotely. So maybe you discuss a budget for a desk, a chair, a filing system, a new laptop, a printer, a router, and as well as maybe hiring professionals such as us for a very reasonable fees. That they might, then you can ensure that you would basically be making a good investment, both your company and yourself, making a good investment so that you can feel and work in your space the best that you can be.
Great. Thank you, ladies. So this is our last slide. We're about to come out for Q&A. But what I'll do is I'll send everybody a copy of this particular slide with all of our contact information on it. So if anybody has any future inquiries, you have our names and numbers. And you will have such a wonderful home office that you'll know exactly where to find this information. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. And we're back to our Brady Bunch. Before we open it up to Q&A, please feel free to start to unmute yourself. I just wanted to thank everybody for coming to this month's POSSE's Pen. And for those of you who are regulars at my monthly POSSE Pen, we are going to skip our May pen because I'm going to go to Disney World and spend some time with Mickey Mouse. So there's no POSSE's Pen in May, and our next one will be on June 16th, and our theme will be the closet edit, not the home edit, but the closet edit, and it'll be all about organizing your closets. And I'll also have an image consultant join me so she can give us all kinds of tips and tricks on our wardrobes. So who's got burning questions relative to design, organizing, or technology? John, you're up.
Right. I'm what is this ancient looking guy doing here? I guess that's the first question.
No.
I don't think anybody thought that.
I'm a 90-year-old long retired physician who about 10 years ago decided I wanted to write a book about the hospital that I worked at. And I was struggling along, and thank goodness Felicia sort of dropped into my space and became my editor, and my gosh, my whole life turned around. Thank you so much, Felicia.
Thanks, John.
And I actually I've got behind me, you can see a scene that is needs help. But I am basically an obsessive compulsive person who does keep pretty well organized all the time. Keeping organized as you get older is incredibly important. And so this was a wonderful discussion, and it's spurring me on again. I'm just trying to keep going as long as I can. But by the way, the idea of music and nature and so forth, and deep breathing, you didn't mention that periodically as you're working along, they're all very helpful. So thanks a million, and thank you in particular, Felicia, for telling me about this, that I could join. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for your comments. So deep breathing, ladies, going into our next presentation, deep breathing.
Okay. Yes.
All right, next question.
Just want to say thank you. It was really great tips. And as somebody that works from home office for 26 years, it's definitely very important to make a space, some place where you really enjoy being. It's not just the work, but it's also the space itself. I don't have windows in my space, but I do have my certificates, which remind me what I achieved. I have things, that collection of dolls that I have from my grandmother's that she brought me as a kid. And sometimes when I just take the deep breathing and I look around, I just being reminded how fortunate I am and what great life I had, where I am now, where I'm going. Keep it organized all the time. It's not always working, because like when I clean it, 5 minutes later, when I started project, it's all becomes a chaos, but it is what's the nature of my work. So being with space and having room for everything, and technology and everything else, it's really, really nice, because in my space, I have the music, I have the TV, which basically I saw everything on the TV while I was working, when I'm listening to this. So it's really helpful to have all this around you all the time. So definitely all the points that each one of you that you said was so great.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Sahaba. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, anybody else?
Well, I
Burning
think
question?
William Hennig has a couple of questions in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Felicia.
Yeah.
You'll
So
put it
the questions are, how comfortable are you with cloud storage, and do you have local backup? The answer is actually, we are comfortable with cloud storage. We actually offer that as, a cloud backup. I understand the concern about that. I think that there are kind of, what we actually recommend is doing a combination of having local storage and then backup, cloud backup, because something can happen in either direction. You could have a fire in your house, right? And then all of a sudden you've left everything, you run out of the house and you lost whatever you had. You could be somewhere where you don't have access to your cloud storage, and then what are you going to do? Like, for some reason you don't have, there is no Wi-Fi, there is no connection. But the cloud storage that we work with is very, it's very protected, and it's very affordable. So, having an external hard drive that has the data on there as well is a good idea. So we would recommend both. And then the other question about, I think is Windows 10 security acceptable? So I'm not sure what the term acceptable is in there, but the first thing I would say is, if anybody is on this call that is still using Windows 7, that is unacceptable. That is not, Microsoft has not been protecting that for that operating system for a while at this point. And so it is very vulnerable to hackers. Windows 10 they are supporting that. So yes, you're going to get a lot more protection. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't be still getting additional antivirus and anti-malware, and you should still be getting monitoring, kind of all those other things. But it's certainly, you want to be at least on Windows 10.
Felicia, can I just jump in and say a little something about backup from an organizing perspective?
Absolutely.
Of course, I'm sure, everybody or most people automate it, right? So when you set up your technology, you know that, your computer is backing up at such and such a time. But there might be things, and maybe I'm off kilter with my technology, but like, for example, when I reconcile in QuickBooks, I then do my own backup, if you will. So there might be things that you might have to put in your planner or save time for, or set up a system for. So, my system when I do my monthly reconciliation in QuickBooks is that I back it up right after the reconciliation. And then whatever might not be automated relative to a backup, you plan for. So for example, if you're doing things to the cloud, but maybe once a year or once a month you do your external hard drive, just make sure if it's not automated, then you actually schedule a time on your calendar or in your planner to do your backups. I just want to mention that.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say to that, not everybody does automated backup. A lot of people do not. And a lot of people, they attempt to do the scheduling it and then they don't. And that's one of the reasons that we're so strongly lobby for having people have it set up so that it's automated, or they ask us to do it, or things like that, because we actually got a call. I mean, this was a classic case of a landscaper who he thought he was backing up, but he didn't realize that his customer relationship tool was on a different, it was not compatible with the backup system he was working with. So when he thought he was backing up, he actually was not backing up. And then one day his computer crashed and he literally lost 6 months worth of customer data, and he had to replace it all by hand. And it took him weeks and a lot of money to make that happen. So, I totally agree about making sure you have a schedule if you're going to do it manually, but also really seriously consider automating it.
Mm-hmm. All right, other questions?
I'll just throw in one more thing here. I am in the boondocks of upstate New York near Cooperstown. And until 2 months ago, I had just terrible satellite internet. I couldn't have been on this conference. I now have the luxury of high-speed internet and terrific Wi-Fi and a good backup system. So that is absolutely crucial. There's so many people out there, particularly in rural areas, who do not have the ability to do what we're doing today. So we need to support the idea. And I guess Biden, without getting too political here, is strongly in favor of trying to improve internet access for rural America.
Good point.
All right. We're at about 1:30, but if anybody else has a burning question, we can take it.
Or you can
I'm
always
going to
email us.
countdown. All right, then. Well, you will get all of our contact information. So if you have future questions, let us know. Thank you so much for attending this particular POSSE's Pen. Thank you to Felicia and Karen for joining me. I hope you all loved it and nobody's too overwhelmed and paralyzed right now thinking, All right, so reach out to us anytime and have a wonderful rest of the afternoon, everybody.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, everybody.
Thank you. So nice to meet all of you. Take care.
Remember, if you want to see more organizing and productivity videos created by POSSE, hit the subscribe button and you'll be alerted when the next one is ready.